All right, guys, good being back. Gonna have a lot of uploads tonight on the channel, reviewing some college football recruiting videos. And you know what? I'm just gonna rant about the stage of college football, where we're at with Nico Iamaleava, now likely headed towards he's basically going to be going to he's going to be going to UCLA. North Carolina gets a transfer quarterback. Max Brown, literally, or Ryan Brown, I believe, from Purdue, is literally in their offseason program. And Bill Belichick is now saying, like, that's where we're at now. Like, kids will transfer in for an offseason program, and then if you don't like the kid in the offseason program, it's literally a tryout. It's incredible. You're going to have kids transferring 3 times in the offseason. I mean, Ryan Brown's going to be transferring to another location. It's wild. You know, the coaches aren't staying with the kids, and the kids are honestly bailing on the coaches. So it's going both ways. And this spring portal is insane. And there needs to be a step to end the spring portal. Spring games are just they're an absolute joke. And you can't even get on Matt Rule anymore because, like, Tennessee is, like, holding a spring game where only, like, on radio you can, like, literally, it's so just like, it's almost going back in time to the 1900s, and not in a positive way, not in a fun way even, that you can't even show a spring game. It's, you're not even really hitting in spring. I mean, it's a joke. The spring game for most places is an absolute joke, and the spring portal is absolutely just asinine, So what do you do with Nico? What do you do in this situation? I believe that there needs to be, like, pretty set in rules that, maybe you have a 2-year contract, or if the player chooses to transfer, like, maybe he should owe back money to the university. So with Nico, if he opts out of his contract with Tennessee, Tennessee should get that money back to spend on another football player, if Nico is going to leave. There shouldn't be a spring transfer window at all. That should not be happening. That is the easiest fix ever. You just have one transfer portal window, and it's not during the college football playoff. You need to also move up the season, or there needs to be a shrinked playoff so that you can end the season very close to January. Like, I think that having 12 teams in the playoff is too many. I would have it at 8. That first round is kind of useless. I mean, have the quarterfinals, like, have those games on campuses and shrink the field down to about 8 teams. Like, did you really need Tennessee? Did you really need Clemson in the college football playoffs? I guess that you had Boise State. Who else was on that first weekend of the college football? Well, SMU. Again, like, I'm not even sure that you needed SMU in that playoff. I mean, they got killed by Penn State, and same with Indiana football. Indiana lost to they lost their game. They didn't even play in the Big Ten championship. They lost to, who did they lose to? They lost to Ohio State. So, and they got killed against Ohio State. So, once again, like, the playoff needed to be shrinked, the conference realignment sucks, and the transfer portal blows. All right. And then the end of the season is an absolute joke that you're playing 16 games of football, because it just totally minimalizes the regular season that you are playing in. So Ohio State, you look back at their championship year, they lose to Oregon. They have a lot of other games in between, which they do win, like against Nebraska. They played against Indiana. Non-conference-wise, I'm not even sure that they really had a fun non-conference battle. They are playing the University of Texas this year, which is a really fun out-of-conference game. And so, man, oh man, just looking at college football right now, it's in a tough spot, with figuring it out. We're a little bit tangled up in terms of these rules. We are tangled up in terms of the rules in college football right now, and in terms of this NIL, and in terms of the spring portal. So the portal is basically, that should be the first thing that stops as a spring portal, because once you sign up for your team, you're on that team, and you got to develop on that football team. All right. So the spring needs to get back to being fun again. All right. And there also should be something where if you sign with a team, like maybe you stay there 2 years because you want to see guys develop. I watch college sports so that I can see a player that's a freshman play in the spring game and play in practices, and I can see that player grow over time, a part of that same college football program. Develop, and stay with one team the entire time. All right. And then become that really good college football player. Make connections at the campuses. Make friends with people at the campuses. Make connections with the academic staff. Make connections with the alumni. Really, embrace that college experience. These 4 years of your life where you're at college, you're living with your best friends in the world, you're at world-class universities, you're getting a beautiful education, you have a lot of options to major in for after your football career is over, whether that be in school or some do make it in the NFL. And again, getting your degree is very, very important. There might be a good rule that, hey, you need to go get your degree before you can transfer. So a lot of kids then will be incentivized to be there about 3 years. So if you shut down on the transferring, if you end the season earlier, and you shut down the spring portal to make, spring football really fun, because this has been the worst spring football experience in college football ever, because you don't even know who's on your roster. So as a fan, how can you give two you-know-whats about battles in the spring when coaches and everybody else, they're so quiet? It's so uninteresting. This spring has been terrible. This should be a time of the year that we celebrate the spring games and preview the upcoming season, but you have prominent players on teams leaving teams in the spring. So how are you going to get excited for a product? It's just like, I'll try to give an analogy on the fly. It's just like, hey, I'm going to go pick up my new car. Oh, that's exciting. But you know what? When I show up to the dealership, my car might not be there, or I might not even decide to get that car. So if your family says to you, right, you say to your family, I'm getting a Honda Accord. I'm getting this Honda. And you go through the process, right, of talking to the people at Honda and picking out your perfect vehicle. And then by the time it's time to pick it up and drive it, you just flat out leave, or halfway through the process, you just ditch that process. Why is your family going to get excited when you're constantly balking and leaving? It's like the boy who cried wolf. All right. So this sport, this organization is broken because the fans have zero attachment to the players or the coaches, because everybody is leaving. It is unbelievably transactional right now. It is too transactional. There used to be a point where there was zero transaction, even if a coach, left, and that was too strict on the players. But for the fans in college football, and also for players, staying in a system, staying in a university, making connections to a university, that benefits a player. A player gets better by playing under the same coaches, by having a good structure, by knowing where his classes are. All right, that's all adding to the athletic experience, is staying on your roster. And all these other coaches probably prefer knowing, okay, that guy's on that roster. So it makes it even easier from a competitive standpoint to scout. But once again, like, that's the integrity of sports. That's the integrity of being part of a team. And that's what's fun about seeing like a player like Cade Klubnik is staying for several years, or that was fun about Ohio State, is seeing, year after year, these teams stay. And that is what is so important in the process.